Hey, hello. Hi, Behrad. So nice to meet you. I've been following you on LinkedIn for a while, and I'm really happy I get to chat with you today.
Pleasure, Meta. I'm very
Okay.
excited.
Nice. Okay. So, I mean, you've had quite a diverse background. You're an entrepreneur, an educator, designer, content creator, mentor. What is your favorite label for yourself?
Oh, that's the one I've been struggling a lot to define. I got into business by interest and also by force because when I wanted to scale my own design services, then I realized that at some point the being a freelancer and working as a title of freelancer has certain bandwidth and limitations. So then I decided to start my own agency and form a business entity. Then I had to learn a lot about business. Then I advanced through and try to learn as much as about learning running a creative business, and it's a very particular type of business. It's not like I'm selling tuna fish. It's about
Hmm.
selling desires and selling execution and quality. So it's a push and pull. The creative side in me sometimes being so not served that I start
Hmm.
shouting that hey, it's time for me, and then when I pay a lot of attention to that side, the business side in me tell me hey, let's do some business. So I'm constantly between these two polar opposite forces that alive in me, and but essentially I like to see myself as a maker. I think I had this long discussion with another, very prominent design AI expert, and I think right now it's a very, very unique opportunity for designers. I don't know why. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I
I,
can tell.
I, I'm typically now. I wish I had 26, 7, 8, 30 hours per day, and I think this is a very unique opportunity. I cannot emphasize enough. Right now, designers have been always facing this limitation that hey, here's a great idea. What should we do with it? Let me go find someone to build it for me. Now we can pull up our sleeves. I don't have sleeves here, but we
Yeah.
can now, and we can really
Metaphoric
vibe
sleeves.
code it. It's not
Yeah.
easy. It's very for us as non-coders, it could be confusing and frustrating and tiresome and any other adjectives at time to time, but there is a way to get to the end of the tunnel and see the light.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that comes down to any sort of a learning process when you're doing something new. There's going to be the difficult part, and then it gets easier and better. But I'm just going to ask the first question, which always comes up when people talk about AI. This question has been around since ChatGPT, and it is true a lot of, I think, job types have just been closed, right? The humans have been replaced, especially when it comes to content creation and marketing. So, and I mean, I completely understand about designers embracing tools, but also, what do you think about these tools replacing designers? How
I have no
serious is
fear.
this
I
threat?
have no fears in that. I had fears.
Uh-huh.
So my journey with AI started with observing it, like any other trends. We have reacted to any major trend in the past 5 years. I remember you, if I don't know if you remember the RIP NFTs.
Of course.
We have reacted to it. Actually, we work with a very creative music studio, and we try to help their artists create unique art for their records, vinyl records, and for their merchandise using NFT and AI. Before there was any AI, like 3 years ago, 2 years ago. So we have reacted to any trends that been around and try to find a response for it. Some of these trends like NFT dies, in my opinion, maybe it comes back. I don't know. I won't react to it anymore. But AI, the more I observe it and follow it, the more I realize that there is a potential. There is a potential. and
Okay.
that potential is undeniable. No, I'll explain if you bear with me. I think maybe this podcast help a lot of other creatives and designers to get relaxed a bit, right? So let me explain first. In any complex system, you need to look at a complex system as a bathtub, right? Water comes in, water comes out, right? If you look at the economy and market, job market as a bathtub, if the water comes out,
Yeah.
total remaining water in the bathtub reduces. Then the water needs to come in because it's a stable system, right? It needs to get to the state of equilibrium. Water comes out, then water needs to come in. The replacement, you cannot look at the replacement in silos. When you replace jobs, when certain jobs become obsolete, there will be new replacements. So
Yes.
one of the big trending job roles right now is prompt engineering,
Yes, I've noticed that.
right? It's
Yeah.
huge. Look at the openings, left and right. It's coming. So that's one big trend. Of course, AI is going to replace a lot of mundane jobs. A lot of mundane jobs that we have had, we've created it. So a lot of, for example, invoicing and accounting, especially in governmental bodies, they should have not existed in the first place, right? So do not be fearful unless I always promote self accountability. It's very important, especially for my line of work. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a uh, worker and builder. I can only talk in my own field. Progress and self development start with self accountability. As a designer, if I am fearful that with one prompt, ChatGPT 4.0 now could create a landing page, then probably I need to upgrade my skills,
For sure. Yes.
right? So uh, AI is going to basically be at the baseline of everything we do, any products and services we offer, right? But now my job, my role as a creator means that what I need to acquire as a skill set to be always few steps ahead of AI. Remember, AI without a creator, it's only a parser and generator, a generator without taste,
Yes.
right? So it cannot do so much.
Also
But
historical information.
yeah,
Yeah.
not the new one, not like
Yes.
picking up on new trends and acting on it.
Yes.
So an AI without a creator is only a computer, if I may, just computes, but a creator with AI is unbeatable.
That's true. And I really like what you said about self-accountability. I mean, it just comes to adapt, grow, and change, which I totally agree with. So in this case, like I would like to know what are your favorite tools and especially, I guess, which of these tools require minimum oversight, overview, and which you think have a lot of, which just end up taking more time if you have to use it. Like sometimes I feel like this would just be faster if I did it?
Yeah, good question. So when it comes to the right now, the design and creative world as we know it is not going to be relevant very soon. I don't want to say now, but very soon, like in a year or two. So all the tool stack that you knew going to become obsolete at some point, unless they revamped themselves, they reinvented themselves. The tools that are going to be relevant are the tools that going to allow you to interact with AI, and that's really important. So my tool stack right now, I don't want to philosophize, give you what I'm working on. Journey for image creation. Now ChatGPT for all, for memes, images. Also, it's getting really on par with Mid Journey, right? So when it comes to creating assets, there are there is a platform called Hedra for animating images and looping it, syncing it with voice. Also, if you're in the video landscape, it's really good for you. When it comes to design and UX design and website design, there is layers that you can. There are two layers. Immediate layer, which is the likes of Lovable, Bolt, Replit, you could start with. That's fun. That's cool. Gives you a feel of what you can do with AI. But I just created a post as well, and I really broke it down. And there's a podcast for it as well. I'll give you the links if you want to put it in the podcast description. You're going to hit the limits as soon as you think about nuances of the UX design.
This was actually going to
So,
be my next question about ensuring quality and then of course the impact of what you design. So yeah, please go ahead.
so if you're a very curious and a stubborn person like myself, and you want to get details right, you are going to hit the limit with these tools. So at the end of the day, your best bet is to pick up what developers use, the environment that they use to push codes, because then you can enter the land of customization. Entering that land come with the caveat, means bugs, AI hallucination, working from, and this is very true, happened to me on Tuesday night, working from 8 p.m. till 2 a.m., hoping to get the game right, and at the end of it, you realize that you have to start all over again
Oh
tomorrow.
my God.
And that is very common. Do not get disappointed. Do not dismay if you hit that. It's very common. Everyone is facing it. It's very common to start a project, you hit the dead end and start all over again. So your best bet is to go to the layer 2 as soon as possible, and the tool stack is very common. Cursor or Windsurf or Neem, right? And these are a really capable tool. They set up the environment for you. They download all the libraries you need. All you need to do is wipe code, right? Then then you can become really creative. So one thing that I've done yesterday and really worked well. I use Windsurf. I was asking Google Gemini 2.5, which is recently introduced and very good, to code, and I was asking Claude Sonnet 3.7 to debug the code and give suggestion to Gemini. So I was continuously using this in the
I
same
love it.
environment,
Is this what
right?
you meant by your Frankenstack?
Yes, you have like the level of desperation you hit sometimes forces you to innovate, and probably this is not everyone else is using it this way, but this is purely from my level of desperation and and wanting to get this thing working, right? So I use that constantly. Sometimes I go to Grok and say, hey, give me the prompt. I take the prompt, bring it to my coding environment. You need to become creative. There is a way to get to the finish line, and I refuse to accept that there is no way. You have to figure it out. This is me trying to figure out. Maybe 2 days later, like next week, we have a conversation. I tell you, Medha, I found a better way. Forget that one, right? But so far, last night, this worked for me, right? So, yeah.
I mean, you call it desperation, I call it passion and dedication, for sure. I mean, I think it's impossible to push through like that through so much disappointment to finally figure out your solution. But I also want to ask, sometimes doesn't it get really overwhelming when you're jumping between multiple tools like all the time?
it is overwhelming, and also it gets even more overwhelming for me because um, it hasn't been a day in the past 2 weeks that I go start from the morning and come up and go get to the evening and I wouldn't come up with three new ideas I want to work on. So um, when you tap into it's a basically a bottomless source of energy. When you tap into it, imagine that you have a plug into the directly into the core of the sun and you get that energy right away. So you don't need
Amazing.
that's amazing, right? So it's that, and then it gets overwhelming. That's why, a really good question. That's why you need to pick your tools. Stop going to LinkedIn. Stop going to X, Instagram, and these guys like. And typically, this post it's over for Figma. It's over for it.
Yes, oh my God. Yes, those
Don't
clickbaity
don't
posts.
don't react. Like verticalize your skill set. Instead of trying this tool and that tool and that tool, pick your tool stack. Like, at the end of the day, you're going to end up with Cursor or Windsurf or any other the likes. That's enough. That gives you basically that tool is not important. All the libraries you download for your project, the way you prompt AI is going to be important, right? Everyone else using the same like libraries more or less. Don't react to those. It's over on X and LinkedIn, and really try to figure out how you can. Basically, if you figure it out, if you figure out the way you prompt, if you figure out how you set up environment, if you figure out how you bring it up into your build as soon as possible, like this is if you know that okay, as soon as you have an idea, you can go from A to Z, and you can um, manage the chaos and manage the unpredictability and manage the AI hallucination. So you sort of have a streamlined workflow. That's a win. That's the biggest win in your career.
Yeah. Sorry, what do you mean by AI hallucination? I love that term, by the way, but I don't know what it
It
means.
hallucinates a lot. It does hallucinate a lot. So basically, especially when you work on a bigger project, it's not like vibe coding, one shot effect, and you want to get the nuances right, and you go back and forth with AI for over 1,000 responses, and that's the level I'm working on. Then it doesn't remember what we discussed in the beginning, and it start like removing certain codes, and you have to say, why did you do that? We already implemented this. So that's why hallucination is very important and it's real. That's why you need to use GitHub and commit and act as a basically you have to basically adopt the best development practices. And it's crazy to use to develop application websites without having GitHub. Commit, commit, commit. Do not ask too many things. Really break it down. One of the if you want a tip on best way of prompting this thing, when you like giving it to build something, so you have a prompt at the end, right. Believe me, this is going to save you a lot of time. Say, write down at the end. Do not assume. Ask me questions about my prompt before you start the build. Ask the questions one by one. I will respond to you, then I will confirm to start the build.
Oh, that's really interesting. I have literally never done that.
Do that. It's going to save you a lot of time and headache. And
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. So, I mean, the next question, when you're working with clients, first of all, do you struggle with convincing all of your stakeholders that this is how you're going to approach a project? And then how do you work around, I don't know, like any sensitive information or client confidentiality?
great question. So we are in the business of building enterprise grade applications, and that's a different ball game from building an application for a startup. A startup doesn't have a user base. Enterprise grade, literally from the day of the launch, they might bring in thousands of users, right?
Yes.
So the way we use AI, and I need to be very transparent about because some people are fearful of working with me because I'm very big advocate of AI. Our designers for those projects, do not touch the backend. We only build the front end and pass it
Okay.
on to the developers. And we have like developers that making sure um, the backend logics are well defined, security measures, and we have to incorporate a lot of security measures because it's enterprise grade
Yeah, of
software,
course.
right? So we are very clear of where where the where the line is drawn. Up to front end, designers will take care of it, and then back end we pass it on. That's for enterprise grade client. There are certain startups that work with us, and they want a POC. They want to show it, for example, 3 weeks from now to the investors, right? Then we have more freedom over there because there is no users. They just want to build a proof of concept of it, and yeah. So, but for our main line of business, which is like about developing application at scale, this is the line. Designers code and design the front end. Developers will do the rest.
Okay, all right. And so I guess I want to ask you now, you've obviously used a lot of tools, you're still using tools. So I'd love to know which tool you think is the one to sort of watch the progress of, which is growing in the best way.
So when it comes on the LLM layer, so I think there is a lot of hype around LLMs that are being introduced that are open source.
Yes.
That's I think is very real. But given it's open source, you're at the mercy of community to develop what you are asking. Um, but that trend is going to win at the end. I'm very clear about it, and I can talk about it with that level of certainty. Um, on the LLM layer, closed Google Gemini is catching up rapidly. ChatGPT 4.5 is very impressive for all with the image generation is very impressive. Anthropic, Cloud, best in class development. So that's a LLM. On the tool stack layer, I don't, I'm not sure on amongst the vibe coding platform like Lovable, Replit, Bolt, I lost count, whether there is going to be a winner that could replace Webflow or Framer. Not sure, but I'm not working with them. I was very interested initially, but for me, I just don't want to wipe code. I want to like get it live at some point on any of this application I'm working on. So, but there are. So I'm not the best person to talk about those tools
So far, maybe
so
later.
far. I think Cursor and Windsurf, there are very, very powerful applications.
Nice. Okay. That is
Really good,
amazing.
really powerful application. There are like I think major innovation that was introduced, like literally redefined the way we code.
Oh wow, that is cool. Okay, in that case, it's a good segue into my last question for you. If you could give one piece of advice to designers when it comes to adopting AI, like if you had a magic one and you can make all designers do it, what would that be?
Lead with passion, right? Um, and know that you used to be a designer, categorized as a designer, UX designer, product designer, researcher, whatever. Now there is a stepping stone in front of you, the next step, to turn into a maker. Designers becoming makers. When you now put that hat on, or at least impersonate yourself as a maker, then you start realizing, and that's what happened to me. Oh, all those ideas I have put on shelves, talked about it, think about it, dreamt about it, I could actually build them,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
So lead with passion, especially commit to the ideas that you want to use. Not don't worry about commercialization and building another unicorn. This is not the way to approach your career. I'm building a journal app I want to use, right?
Okay.
And that gets me excited. Whenever I have time, I work on it. I believe me, I wish I had like 30 hours per day time.
Yeah.
So lead with passion, be patient. It's a new thing. No one has figured it out. It's ground zero for everyone, right? And yeah, don't be afraid to scrape it and start all over again. I think that's really important. You know, it's often you end up in that situation that you're like, okay, you know what? Maybe I set up the entire project wrongly. The tool stack, it was wrong because you're not technical. You don't know which one to pick. So it's all about starting over again. And if you lead with passion, when you hit that 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and you realize what you have worked on for the past 5 hours, you cannot do anything about it. If you don't have that passion, obsession, and want, you won't start tomorrow again. And you need
That's
to start
true.
tomorrow again.
So you learn from the mistakes. You till 2 a.m. you worked on what will not work. And so now you know that.
It's ground zero for everyone. Everyone is
Yeah.
learning. No one knows better than me, right? Like, it's a new set of tools and new set of roles and jobs, and it's a completely new industry.
That's
So
true. Yeah.
so be patient, and
Yeah.
it's a you're investing not for your immediate gain, you're investing for your future, in your future self.
Yeah, I love it.
Right.
When I started this conversation with you, I thought we would kind of just talk about AI tools, workflows, but I feel like you've done that, plus also talk a lot about, I mean, we've gone into the philosophical element on, and I'm really excited. I want to try all of the tools that you talked about. So thank you very much for your time. This has been awesome, and I hope you enjoyed it as well.
My pleasure.
Thank you.